Welcome to Lose Weight, Feel Great. Amplify your energy and feel radiant again. Simple changes to create a healthier you and transform your life. My name is Joanna Peterson, and I created this summit to inspire people to reach their optimal health. I'm here today with Melissa Costello. Hello, Melissa.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited for our interview and to share information with all the participants of the summit.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
I wanted to ask you, tell me a little bit about you and the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you. So I am a transformational eating coach, which means that I basically help women stop yo-yo dieting so that they can create a normal relationship with food and really overcome food obsession and all the struggles they have with weight loss, and to really come into a relationship with food that feels free and not imprisoning. And the reason why I do that work is because I've had my own journey of my own struggles with food and my body image and emotional eating and all of that. And so now I get to bring all of the knowledge that I've learned and how I've stepped into freedom, and I get to bring that to my clients.
Like, what kind of programs do you have for your clients?
I mostly do one-on-one coaching. I found that that's really where my clients have the most transformation. I also am going to be moving into doing more retreats, so all over the world, basically.
Right.
I'm going to be partnering with different people, and I'm also going to be bringing equine therapy into that, which is working with horses. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be another phase of my business that I'm really focusing on so that I can bring women together in community so they feel supported and can have powerful transformation.
I love that you're bringing the horses in. You know, we're getting
Yes.
more connected. So a lot of yogas now are doing the goat yoga.
Oh yeah, I love it.
So you're doing the nutrition with horses. I love it.
Yes.
Good
Yeah.
for them and good for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How did you come up with that?
Well, I have a real love for animals, and I've always had a special connection with horses. And I started doing my own research around, just number one, being with horses, because I had a horse here in Santa Barbara that I was spending a lot of time with. And I'm not really so much into riding them. I just love being in their energy. And so the more I started to look, actually went to a yoga and horse workshop that a friend of mine led, and her and I are doing a retreat in Colorado in August. And I just had, I always knew that I had this special connection, and that horses have something really special within them. And it's so powerful to actually bring people together with them because they are so in alignment with themselves. And so they mirror to us or they reflect us where we are out of alignment. So it's just a really beautiful way to support women in getting unstuck and really seeing their truth and stepping into their power. So it's more around empowerment, and the horses they hold such a clean, beautiful space for that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
How were you able to change your relationship with food? You were just talking about empowerment.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more?
Yeah, so it definitely was a journey that I had to go on. And I spent roughly 30 years struggling with my body image and struggling with a very dysfunctional relationship with food, meaning that I yo-yo dieted a lot. I was always trying to find the next quick fix or the thing that would, result in my body looking a certain way. So a lot of my kind of craziness around food was based on how my body looked or being a certain weight or, all of that. So I had to really start to look at my deeper beliefs about myself and my body. And that's when I started to change my relationship with food. And I did that through working with a coach and really getting a ton of support, because I found that trying to do it on my own, even though I'm a nutritionist and I know how to eat well and all that, I was really hiding behind this emotional eating. So I had to address, because it really never is about the food. I had to kind of address the emotions that were running underneath and the belief systems.
And are you using the same kind of technique with your clients as well, where you're addressing the emotional part, that is the self-love?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like that really is the only way to heal our relationship with food, because Unfortunately, we are trained as a society to diet, and the diet culture is so prevalent in our society, and it's programmed a lot of us, and that creates a lot of dysfunction with food. And ultimately, it's really never about the food. We have to really look at what's driving our behavior and where that's stemming from. And for me, it was stemming from a place of not feeling worthy, not feeling good about my body, which ultimately led to not feeling worthy. Sorry, my dog. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
So, yeah, so I do bring all the work that I do into the work with, or all the work I did into the work with my clients. That's the only way I'm able to work with my clients, is because I know what helped heal me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you also wrote several books. One is called The Karma Chow, and the other one is The Clean and 14 Detox.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about your books? I love The Karma Chow. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's a cookbook, and unfortunately it's no longer in print. You can find it on Amazon used for like $90,
Okay.
but it's not in print anymore. And my Clean and 14 Detox book I wrote in 2014, and I really believe that we do at some point in our lives need to clean our bodies up. Our bodies are capable of doing a lot of their own cleansing. And I created that book because I am a big believer in clean eating, or just putting really high nutrient dense foods in our body. I don't want to say clean eating, because a lot of people take that and believe it's a diet.
Mm-hmm.
But really treating our bodies well, eating whole nutritious foods. And the reason why I created that book is because it helped me heal. I had a lot of childhood illnesses growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and through eating more of a plant-based diet, I helped myself heal on a lot of levels. When I made the book, I hadn't really gone through my transition with my relationship with food. So I was still very much in the mindset of cleansing and doing all of that. But what that did was it triggered a lot of my emotional eating. So, now I will only tell my clients to cleanse once they've come into a right relationship with food. So if a cleanse or a detox is going to trigger their emotional eating, I absolutely do not encourage them to cleanse at all. Like even intermittent fasting, none of that. So a lot of times, anytime we go into that deprivation, it will kind of result in the pendulum swing, which is the overeating, the emotional eating, all of that. So I wrote those books all with good intention. And as you know, everything changes. We change as human beings, we evolve, and I've evolved so much. And it's not that those books are irrelevant anymore at all. They're amazing. And even the Clean and 14 has daily practices, things that you do on a mental level and an emotional level as well. So it supports all areas of our lives.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you have a daily routine that you practice?
Yeah, I do. For me, ritual and routine is really important just for my kind of overall mental and emotional well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And so each morning I usually get up around 5:36. Naturally, I usually don't use an alarm. My body just has kind of naturally gotten to a place where I wake up. And the first thing I'll do is I'll make my tea, and then I'll sit on the couch and I'll do my morning journaling and my morning reading. I read out of specific books every morning, and then I'll do some meditation. And that's kind of really the most important way to start my day, is through connecting with myself. And if I don't do that, I usually find that my day does not flow in the way that I want it to. Or I'm not able to handle things when they come up randomly, like, oh, that's not supposed to happen. And then I start to react versus respond. And so what I found is that through this routine of mine, it just helps me stay connected to me, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing that any of us can do is stay connected to ourselves, because we're all so busy outputting to everyone else and taking care of kids, taking care of spouses, taking care of everything. And we often forget about ourselves.
Right.
So that routine for me is so important and so powerful. And I encourage everyone to have some sort of ritual and routine in the morning and in the evening as well.
Yeah, self-care is so important. I
Yes.
feel the same way. If I don't take care of myself, or if I don't do anything for myself at least 30 minutes a day,
Yeah.
I am not a nice person. My husband not happy with me. I don't feel good about myself. And that's the
Right.
thing, it's just meditation, eating healthy, and just resting when I need to. Just taking a
Yeah.
few weeks in between clients and just being
Yeah.
grateful for being able to do this work.
Yeah, I think, we often lose sight of that, like how important self-care is. And I know it's kind of such a buzzword right now. And, it's like self-care, self-care. And a lot of people don't really understand the depth of what self-care is about. They think, oh, I'll get massages and pedicures and, this and that. But self-care really is about the emotional and mental kind of nourishment that we need, because especially today, there's so much coming at us all the time, and we're being pulled in a million different directions, and we live in an overachiever society. And so we often forget that having that kind of downtime to just be is what fulfills us and what nourishes us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Are there any specific foods that you like to use, like on a daily routine, that helps detoxification and helps more with your bowel movements, just like a natural weight loss, but it's not a weight loss, it's more of a natural, basically it supports your body for detoxification.
I really believe that eating like a lot of raw foods and leafy
Mhm.
greens is really powerful for our body. I make sure I eat a raw salad every day, like a really big raw salad. I get a big, huge bowl, um, and that I find that just helps me overall with my digestion, with my elimination, with all of that. I also drink lemon water first thing in the morning, whether it's hot or room temperature.
Mhm.
That's a great way to get our natural elimination going.
Yeah.
I also do the celery juice, which I love. I follow the medical medium, and I too have autoimmune stuff. So I know we had talked about that before we started the interview, but it really helps me overall just with, um, the autoimmune things that I'm facing on a day-to-day basis, and then just with my digestion and everything. So I really believe I eat a ton of fruit. I love fruit. It's got so much value and nutrition and fiber and really good qualities to it. And I just really believe, eating seasonally, like eating what's in season, eating what is fresh is always going to serve our bodies on the deepest level.
Yeah, fresh and local.
Exactly. As
Yeah.
much as possible, right? I mean, it's not always possible, but as much as possible, as much as we can, shopping the farmers markets, going to the more higher end health food stores that have the organic produce and the local produce.
Yeah, and I love the celery juice as well. I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I suggest that for most of people, especially when they're experiencing, rashes or any kind of
Yeah.
autoimmune conditions.
Yeah.
Good. Is there anything specific that you use to help women in the spiritual path of weight loss?
I mean, I wouldn't say specific because it's specific to each person. So when I work with someone, I really evaluate them as an individual. It's not about here's a cookie cutter program that I want you to follow, because we all have different belief systems. We're all raised differently. We all see food differently. A lot of times it's how our parents were around food that we take that on. I was talking with a client earlier today, and she was saying, gosh, my mother used to restrict my food when I was younger, right? And so for her, that's been a lifelong battle that she's been fighting because of her mother restricting her food. And as much as she's tried to overcome it, she hasn't been able to, because it's so ingrained in her. And so, I really look at the person overall as an individual and their belief systems and kind of how they grew up and what drives them to do what they're doing today. And then we really address that from a mental, emotional, and physical level. And I help them really shift their mindset and shift their belief system. So it's not very specific. I can't give specifics, but it's specific to each person. When I get to know the person and know what they need, then that's when I incorporate all of my training.
I love that.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a specific mindset, or if you grew up in a, with parents that give you restrictions. If it's, you eat more, or you need to eat more, or you need to eat less, instead of a child actually knows when to stop eating when they're full.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
most do, unless they're eating for emotional reasons, which I
right.
did all the time as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it was sugar. I found, because of my upbringing and how I grew up and being in the household with an alcoholic father who was a rageaholic, and there was not a lot of control in my environment, food and sugar were the things that I went to get a sense of control and a sense of comfort. So as much as I knew my body was full, I was looking for that comfort outside of myself.
How were you able to stop the sugar cravings? Is there something specific that you did, or that you are doing?
No, to be honest, it's, I believe, all these people talk about food addictions, and there's a lot of studies being shown now that we don't get addicted to food. We really get addicted to the feeling that we get from the food, right? It's like the dopamine, the emotions that we feel when we eat the food. And so for me, the sugar cravings, I really had to look at what sugar was giving me, what it was offering me, what it was providing for me. And then I had to find other ways to give those things to myself on a deeper level. And then I didn't need the sugar anymore. And a lot of it also had to do with my mindset, and it was diet mindset I was living in, which is like, sugar's bad. I can't ever eat sugar. I have to restrict myself. And once I started to change that mindset and give myself permission here and there and to enjoy it, I didn't even really want it anymore. It was more about, if I can't have it, that's when I want it. But once I was allowing myself to have it, then I didn't even really care that much anymore. And that was a process. It didn't happen overnight. It was really about practicing intuitive eating, really listening to my body, attuning to all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, sugar was a tough one for me too, especially as I got off all my medications when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
The first thing I would reach, it just would comfort me. It was just,
Yes.
yeah, it would give me energy. So for me, it was more incorporating my smoothies, my green salads, and good fiber. And once I got to a good balance, I think it took me like a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks. I was able to give slowly sugar away. But it was just hard for me, just even looking at it. I couldn't even keep it in the house. I had to move everything out and just establish a new relationship. So now if I need one piece of chocolate, just like a small piece, I can eat it and I don't have a problem. I don't need a second piece.
Right. You learn how to really enjoy it and savor it and be present with it versus looking at what the reasons you can't have it or why it's bad. Right. So it's, yeah. And again, I think we get so much from emotionally and physically from eating sugar, just like the comfort and the instant gratification, and it changes our state immediately. And I think so many of us are wanting to change our state versus just being with what's there, right? We don't like feeling uncomfortable as human beings. And when we're uncomfortable, the first thing we do is change our state. We override what's really going on. And I had to learn not to do that anymore. I couldn't do that anymore because that didn't provide healing for me.
But yeah, I check always in if I have certain food cravings. I always, even if it's something that's healthy, if I am craving sauerkraut or kombucha, I'm asking my body, so what didn't you have enough today? What's going on with your digestion? Why are you needing these foods? And then when I start digging deeper, I know exactly, what I didn't eat in balance today and what my body really needs. So really,
yeah, I mean, well, that's like high level. I mean, that's for you to get to that place. That's really powerful. Not a lot of people can get to that place, and it takes a lot of time. And when you have autoimmune stuff and you're always kind of managing your physical health, that's something that we have to put attention on, because I put attention on that too. And for a lot of people, they're not able to decipher that in just like a logical way. And so like I always really, ask people to really look at what's triggering them to eat certain things emotionally, like what's going on in their lives. Do they have stress? Are they not sleeping? Are they just really looking at their overall lifestyle and how they're handling or not handling things. But I hear you. I mean, there's days where I'm craving greens and I'm like, oh, I know I need like if I'm craving them, I'm needing them. Right. And I've learned to not overanalyze it anymore, because that tended to get me in trouble when I would start to overanalyze. And I just listen to my body. And there's days where I don't eat in balance, and that's okay, because I know my body will always tell me what it needs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also for people out there, when they're experiencing a lot of stress and they're doing the emotional eating, they're just grabbing something, always take your time and see, hey, what's going on? Did I take care of my body today, or have I been just going nonstop? And yeah, and sometimes it takes as simple as eating a few nuts and just digesting them and saying, hey, how do I feel just eating nuts versus having something sweet?
Right.
Did I need the fat? Did I need some protein? And then
Yeah, or sometimes I tell people just have a cup of tea, because if you're really maybe you're wanting comfort, and the warmth will provide that for you. And so much of my work is about really attuning and being able to hear and listen to the body. And oftentimes we think we need to eat because it's like lunchtime, or it's we kind of get a lot of people use food to give themselves energy, like when they're in a low time, and it's like, that's when you need to rest. That's not when you need to eat, right? You need to give your body rest, not food. So it's really about looking at it from a very holistic standpoint of, what do I need mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually,
And also eating when you're hungry, not because it's breakfast time, it's lunchtime, it's dinner time, right?
Right.
Because we have the tendency to constantly overeat.
Yeah.
Because we don't go by, how am I feeling? We eat. Sometimes we don't need even to eat for dinner. If you had some snacks before and you're feeling pretty good, maybe you just need something small, but just because you're sitting down and you eat it, everyone else is eating.
Right. Yeah, we've learned kind of as a society not to listen to our bodies and to just kind of go along with, I mean, with lunchtime, dinner time, breakfast time. And yes, there's people who work in offices and they don't have a lot of choice around, or teachers, they don't have a lot of choice around when they can eat. They get a lunch break at a certain time, and I always tell them to really set themselves up so that they don't feel starving by the time that time comes around. So they're eating, when they get up, that they're eating, even if they're not fully hungry in the morning, just have a little something to hold them over, right? Because we don't want to totally starve our bodies, so we go into that place of really low blood sugar, then we'll overeat, right? So there's kind of that balance where we want to make sure that we're nourishing ourselves and all of that, and I get, it's so funny because some mornings I'll wake up starving, and other mornings I'll wake up and I could care less about food. And then I'll eat at like 10 o'clock when I get hungry finally, so it's just, I've really learned to attune to my body, but not everybody can, because of their work schedules. Like I work from home, and I think you work from home too, right?
No, I actually have a wellness center.
Oh, a wellness center. Okay. So yeah, but you have, it sounds like, flexibility to kind of, right, eat when you're hungry and all that. So a lot of people who work in office situations don't have that flexibility. So it's about how can you prepare and set yourself up so that you make sure that you are nourishing your body, but not taking in too much, right? More than your body needs.
Yeah, I have a problem with my scheduling because I don't leave enough gaps and I can't say no, but I'm working on it.
Yes. Yeah.
I put the time in my schedule, and I'm taking my breaks.
Yes.
And I'm taking more time as I'm getting older, especially. I feel like it's so important with everything that's going on right now with the environment.
Yeah.
And we're constantly connected with electronics.
Yes.
So, one thing that I practice actually for my health and well-being: no electronics on Sunday. So yeah, yesterday was the first time I made an exception yesterday for 2 hours, but besides that, no electronics.
That's great. That's great.
Do you think stress helps your cortisol levels, helps you sleep better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many little things that we can do.
Mhm.
And I'm always reading articles and they're saying how much of a negative effect all of these electronics has on our cortisol and how detrimental it is to our health to always be online and on technology and all of that. So yeah, it is important for us to take breaks and take time away and get out in nature and really support our overall well-being. Yeah.
Yeah.
I apologize for my dog. There's nothing I can do. She's yapping in the background.
No, I don't even hear the dog.
Okay. Okay, good.
One last question. What is
Yes.
one thing that the audience can implement in their daily life to feel great, have energy, and feel radiant?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Actually,
Just
it's
one
a really big question.
thing.
So I always just really encourage people to connect to themselves. Whatever that means, like find one thing a day that you can do to connect to you and your kind of deepest truth and your deepest longing and nourish yourself in that way. And whether it's taking 10 minutes to just sit and rest or to read or just unplug, like get yourself in a space of just being. I think that that's so powerful. And and then the other thing is really learning how to be kind to yourself, because I feel like we are so hard on ourselves as a society, especially women. And when those negative voices come in, just really turn them around and tell yourself something nice. Like you would never say half the stuff you say about yourself to your friends. So talk to yourself like you would talk to your friends. I just think that that's so important.
No,
Yeah.
I love it. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for being here today. And
You're
thank you
welcome.
for all the time.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited and I'm so happy this summit is happening. I think it's going to provide such great information for so many people. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you.